Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Kollective Konversations, where meaningful conversations lead to meaningful change. Today's episode, Break the Silence, is dedicated to breaking the stigma again of mental health and reminding every viewer that healing is possible. Today, we're honored to welcome Counselor Courtney Settle from Generations Behavioral Health. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I jokingly told a friend today, all those years that my teacher said I talk too much is finally paying off. So I appreciate you having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a counselor for Generations Behavioral Health. I primarily work with substance use right now, but I am set to graduate with my master's in social work in December. So kind of leaning more toward trauma, but I just have a passion for helping people go back and fix the things that hurt them.
Right.
Finding ways to live in a healthy manner and just to be able to heal.
So tell us a little bit about your background as far as, so I know you're a counselor now, so a little bit about your background. Like work with kids a lot? No, work with kids a lot though?
So I have worked with kids a lot.
Right.
I was a middle school social worker for a few years.
I didn't know that. Was that pretty?
It was wild. I like change and I like jobs that you just can't make up the things that happen. And
Right.
middle school social work definitely
Right.
provided that. You could not make up the things you experience on a day to day. So I worked with kids a lot there. I worked for a few years at a daycare actually. So I kind of enjoyed that, but my brother struggled for 17 years of substance use. And so once I took the time to allow myself to heal from the hurt that it caused me, I just knew that was kind of where my passions were. I knew that God didn't allow me to go through all that for nothing.
Right.
My children are adopted out of the system, so substance use has obviously impacted their lives. And so that's just kind of where my passion is. I like kids. I like to work with kids still, but I prefer to work with kids as a coach. Really? And help fix the families.
Okay. So it's just like, and well, now you see that, I mean, from, like you said, from your history, fixing the family would help as well.
Absolutely.
It's not easy though.
No.
But, one thing when you said about being a middle school social worker, right? I mean, think about it. A lot of the stuff, the problems lie, that's what the last part you see is the kid.
Yeah.
A lot of the problems lie at home. And it's hard. I mean, that's why I said I've dealt with it for a long time working with kids. So tell me a little bit before we start. Tell me a little bit about wanting to switch sort of to the, I wouldn't say other side, but behind the scenes of the mental health part of it. Tell me how you chose that.
So I'm a firm believer that nobody wakes up and wants to be a drug addict.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, life happens, and you do the best you can to cope. We love to beat down those who use substance to cope, but people on my 600-pound life didn't end up there because they love cheeseburgers. They ended up there because something hurt them, and they used cheeseburgers to heal that. Those of us who have shopping problems, we don't just have all the money to spend. We use that to fill that void, whatever hurts.
Right.
So I just feel like if I can help people figure out where those hurts lie, what led you to the choices you're going to, I can remove the substance. People get incarcerated, the substance is gone, but they come back and they end up back in it, and you can't figure out why.
I think that's it. I think, when you said about 600-pound life, I think that's the part, at that part, seeing that part.
Yeah, we
just see that part, like the part right now.
Yeah.
Maybe the 600 pounds, but what led to it.
Right.
Kind of like hoarders.
Right.
I mean, sort of something, kind of similar, just what led to it. And I think a lot of times that's what we fail to do as adults, and definitely, but it starts at teen and kid age. I mean, even before that, before pre-adolescence it starts, and it's something that, like you said before, you probably saw at the schools a lot. And I don't know how long ago that was. Not trying to date you, but think about it. It's probably, I'm not gonna say worse. I'm not saying that, but it's probably a lot more going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the substance abuse you were talking about has infiltrated down to the middle school, sometimes elementary school kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I started there. I worked in middle school following COVID, so right after COVID for a couple of years, and it wasn't your typical bullying and fighting. I mean, you're dealing with kids are sneaking weed into school. You've got vapes in the school. They're sexually involved in middle school. Like it's so much more things that these kids are exposed to. And it's things they're learning at home or in their communities. And so, the prevention plans that we have, all these programs that are coming out, the Summit Collective, things like that are helping these youth are so vital.
Yeah.
But now we have to get the parents on board and get them.
100%.
We can
Right.
we can build all the things, but if the
said
parents
that.
don't bring the kids, then what is it doing?
You're right. I mean, and you just made me think about that because that's one of the things we talked about early on about the parents, right? It's tough. It is tough. Like I said before, that's why I'm glad, glad you're here to speak about it. Glad you're here to be in front of kids. I mean, I've seen you in action. You came to Camp Elevate 26 a couple weeks ago and spoke. You couldn't see it when you walked in the office, but when you leave, you'll see the high five. I have a big one post. I mean, I think just seeing, coping skills, right, is a big thing. And a lot of that kind of matters as well when we come to, mental health, and definitely keep, saying things about it as well and kind of speaking about it. Just in this is called Break the Silence. That's why, I like to have professionals on here speak about mental health. That's what you're here to do today. But tell me this, and I always ask this, and we always go to this first, but why do we not want to talk about mental health in a whole? Tell me a little bit what you think.
I think it's probably a stigma everywhere, but I know in Appalachian culture, we tend to have a very what happens at home stays at home mentality. We are in the Bible Belt, so unfortunately, there's a lot of stigma that follows mental health. Just pray it away. We don't need to get help. We just pray it away. I know even growing up in my home, I have a wonderful family. My parents are phenomenal, two of the best people in this world. But they were always fearful of how other people would look at us if they knew that my brother was struggling with substance use. We couldn't talk about what was going on in our house. I remember my mom even saying one time, you don't have to air our dirty laundry to everybody. And it wasn't that I was doing that. I was just talking about what was going on in our lives. As a teenager, I just was talking about it. And so I think there's so much judgment that surrounds it that it just keeps people stuck.
Yeah.
We look at substance use or anxiety or depression as like you failed morally. There's a moral failure. Yeah. And that's why you have these issues instead of realizing that there's just things that happen, things that are out of our control. Even depression and anxiety, a lot of that stems from things that have happened to you in your life as a child.
Right.
And so while it may be that somebody failed you didn't fail. You just have mental health issues, and we need to work through those to help you to not fail, to help you be successful.
So I always say this because, even before when I was younger, I didn't know what a psychologist was.
Right.
We lived right by one. And I never even knew until I was like 12 years old. I was like, what are they doing? I just didn't know. But now I know. I wish, some of my relatives went to see him. Not to get medication. I'm not saying that, but definitely to kind of sort out some of the things instead of what they were doing. Because they were going somewhere. Sure. It wasn't a psychiatrist.
Right.
To the liquor stores, different things like that as well. But it doesn't go away. It just gets worse, and that's what you start to see. And then you end up saying, man, just a few moments with a stranger, just talking to them could possibly open up and help them a lot. Because, they didn't know how to deal with it. Like you said, for being silent about it a lot. That's why I always say breaking the silence. It's been about a month since we've done this. But it needs to be done, not all the time, but definitely on a regular basis. Just to kind of break down some of the myths that go on. With that, like you said before, you're crazy. Something's wrong with you. No, it's nothing. Just speaking helps a lot of times. And I know, I keep referencing back because I didn't know, you were a social worker in middle school. I keep referencing back to that. Tell me a little bit about this real quick. So being a counselor now, but then being a social worker then, which still a social worker always, but when they brought the problem to you, then what?
So that was one of the issues was, in the middle school, we would have issues that came up, but we didn't really have anywhere to send it outside of there. So we lacked resources outside of there. It is really hard to find people who want to work with children, not to get too personal, but, in my family, we've been trying to get some resources for my nephew and, trying to find a male therapist is like impossible. Right. So at this point, we're like, okay, you're just going to have to talk to a woman because it is what it is. But, 100%. Just trying to find those resources, trying to find places to plug people in. In the middle school, especially, I dealt with a lot of self-harm, a lot of self-harming behaviors. And the parents often, their reaction was to discipline the child for self-harm. And I'm like, they're crying out for help. Grounding them is not going to fix it.
Right.
Taking them out of athletics is not going to fix it. Like,
right. And that, and you're right. And I think about something you said earlier about parents. How do we approach them? Because if we approach them in the wrong way, they're going to shut down too.
Oh, absolutely.
And they listen to the fact of what you just said. What are you talking about? And here we go. And I think, it's a, so tell me this. I know we haven't gotten into it yet, but when we talk about mental health, I think one thing that's huge of what's going on now is, Generations has helped, with some of the cookouts that we're having, some of our cookouts that we're having. Just being there, showing up is a big deal to me, because I think it kind of can break that stigma as well.
Sure.
The fact that, not only just the other day, Frida and Annie was there, and one of the things they did was, they took the food to the house, because it's one thing to have the kid like you talked about in middle school, but it's another thing to talk to the parent.
Oh, yeah.
And understand, but it's just like, to me, it's just like this is not about police, but just like when the police, you're more prone to talk to the police if you know who they are. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I think that route is way better to me, because now if you feel safe, well, what do y'all do anyway? Because eventually that's what the question will be. Well, what y'all doing around here? What y'all, and then you come to it. And I think it's a great, I'm not saying a marketing tool, a great way to connect.
Right.
If you don't connect, they're not.
Yeah, and it's really with anything, but if you can build somebody's trust, if you get somebody to trust you,
right.
then there's going to be doors that open. And I think that is probably one of the better skills that I have is I can get you to like me. I can get you to trust me. We don't have to talk about anything. Just let me talk to you for a little bit. Yeah. Let me show you that I care, because no matter where I meet you, I'm going to meet you with compassion. So let me get you to see that I care. Then I can help you with things.
One thing you said about that, but I got, and this is where we'll get into this other segment, what does healing really look like? Because that's the thing. You say, I get to know you, but then are you trying to uncover something I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I remember a bottle. I don't know why I was looking at the bottle you have, the bottle of soda you have. I was looking at it. It was like, it was just breaking it down into compartments, like, the top, and then the middle, and then that bottom, which is the hidden, the hidden things that you don't want to bring out. You don't want anybody to know about. And then sometimes when talking to people, that's what happens. And then it's not a bad thing, I think. It's just, when do we open them up? This by counseling, about the open door. Before I get ready to leave. Now, I didn't sat there 55 minutes, hardly said anything. Then last 5 minutes, I'm spitting it at you. Yeah. And you're like, well, hold on, you know what I mean? But that's one of the things. So I know healing it overnight. We talked about that. Can someone heal while they still are struggling, though?
I think so. I think that you can. I have a lot of clients who, I do primarily substance use counseling, and I'm not going to sit here and say that all my clients are coming in passing the drug screens week after week, but I'm seeing changes. I'm seeing growth. I'm seeing, they may not have used as much because instead they plugged in some coping skills and didn't get high when they thought about it. You can still have anxiety and still be healing from anxiety. You can still have these struggles and still be healing. When you sit down at a table or you sit down in a chair to get help, you can't heal it all immediately. My brother told me one time before, I tried to shortcut treatment every time. And I thought that I could go 20 miles into the woods and get out in 5 minutes. And it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And that is how it is with all of our healing. We've been through 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years of trauma and life and things happening. And we think that 3 counseling sessions is going to fix it. I come in and I talk to this counselor twice and now I should be healed. That's not how it works.
No, you're right. It's, I have a history with doing some counseling as well. It did take its toll on me, and not for the reason why you think. It was more of, Courtney, how can I tell you as an adult that I know you're coming in struggling, but you're doing the best. I know I don't know you, but from what I've heard you saying, the best you've ever done as far as, but then again, you're still struggling, you know what I mean? So it's like, how can I give you the confidence that I can't, other than to speak to you, but to know that, listen, you're a better coordinator than you were 10 years ago. But where do you want to go with that? And then what happens is you go back to the same environment, something happens, and you slide back down again, and then we lose you. And I couldn't deal with that. That's the part I couldn't deal with, because I generally thought you were doing better, and not for me. I'm not saying I can say, oh, I'm a great counselor. No, I want you to walk out of here better than you came in.
Right.
A lot of times, well, I think you do. Maybe you don't think you do, because of the struggle you still feel and the healing that needs to be done. Because a lot of times we're only in there 60 minutes.
Sure.
You're out there 23.
And the thing is, I might be healing things,
Right.
but new things are still happening.
Right.
New life is always been life.
Right, that's true.
So it's not just about, am I healing, but am I learning the tools to face life when life's me again? Because it's going to come back.
There you go.
And, as a counselor, I tell every one of my clients, I will show up for you as long as you show up for you. I will fight for you as hard as you fight for you, but I will not fight harder. And that's just the boundary that I have to set. I will fight for you as hard as you fight for you. If you're showing up, you're giving me your best, I'm doing the same.
Right.
I'm meeting you there.
Right.
But I can't chase you down every day and beg you to come in. I can't do that, because I got others who are showing up for them, so I got to meet them too.
And it's like I'm great tools you give, I'm sure. I would give tools too. And then it's like that moment, it's like, I can't be there at that funeral. When you told me you were going, Courtney, you told me there might be some people there, cousins or whatever, that use. I fight it off until I go to the bathroom, and here it is. You know what I mean? It's like some of those things too. So it's really hard.
Sure.
It's really hard. Just like you said before, getting the tools and having them. This is definitely not a break the silence where I'm thinking defeat. I'm not saying that, because I think a lot of people do heal. I do believe through counseling. I do, and also through a change of environment. What I mean, not so much maybe the location, but in fact who you hang around, who you're letting in your home,
right,
any more than before, and setting, you said, a boundary is a big thing. It's one of the things that I thought about as well.
Yeah, and I even had a conversation yesterday with a friend. Sometimes we have to strip titles. Oftentimes those boundaries that we struggle with are because, well, you're my sister, so I gotta keep contact with you. Yeah. Or, I wouldn't let the neighbor down the street talk to me crazy, but because you're my uncle, I let you talk to me crazy. No, I'm not. Yeah. That title cannot carry more weight than the boundaries that I have to set, or the peace in my life. I have to be able to remove those boundaries and see you for Don. Yeah. See you for who you are. I can't let you have a free pass to abuse me just because, you're family, or you carry a title in my life.
I remember it was a time when you came over, and spoke to the campers. It got to a point, and they were in the elementary, it got to a point where you had to tell them to set a boundary. And it went all, the questioning always went down to, but what happens if, it's like, but you have to tell some people other than your parents.
Yeah.
And it gets that way. But that's not about the healing part, but that's the part of concealing and not saying a lot, or talking to people like you. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we ain't gonna talk to any counselor, they're gonna tell too much, you know what I mean? And but we need to heal. Absolutely. You do know that they're not healing. They're not healing by you just telling them to be quiet, and they're bottling it up to ready to explode, and whoever knows what that might be. I didn't say they have to be violent or anything. Could be drug use, could be anything.
Right. Could
be gambling, could be anything like that as well. Self-harm as well. I think a lot of that comes about, as well too. So,
and I think that when we talk about boundaries, people do quickly associate that with substance use. They need to set boundaries, but it's not just there. Right. You should have boundaries in your relationships. Right. You should have boundaries with your employer. Right. I love Generations, and I told Annie when she hired me, I said, I love you guys, and Annie and I go way back. She's baked me cookies in college. Right. But I told her, I said, at my last job, they were the priority. I gave more to them than I gave to my children, and I cannot do that moving forward. So I'm setting boundaries. I will not be coming in on days off. I will not be. Right. And Annie was like, no, we want that. We want you to have your family first. Your children should be your priority over us. But a lot of people struggle with that. We struggle with setting boundaries with work. We struggle with setting boundaries in relationships. We struggle with setting boundaries even with our family. And it's not just for substance use. A lot of the anxiety we deal with wouldn't be so bad if we could learn how to set boundaries. Hey, I'm not answering these work calls right now. I'm off the clock. I'm not answering these calls.
Well, I invite you on here to talk about me, but it seems like, you know what I mean? Because you're right, that work-life balance or
It's
your
hard.
balance in your life, it is hard. I mean, it's definitely hard when, I don't know, we're in the people business.
Yeah.
And you can't turn it on and off like that. I mean, but you have to.
You have to or you lose it, because what you shared
right.
was, it took its toll on me.
It did.
I had to step away from counseling because it took its toll on me.
No, it didn't.
And it will if we don't set the boundaries of,
Right.
hey,
You're right.
I'm here for you, but this is my time. This
Right.
is my protected time.
No, you're right.
When you're running a major organization here, starting up huge resources. I don't even want the headaches that you carry, but being able to set those boundaries of, hey,
Right.
this is my time.
I was on the other side. And not that I didn't like it, but it does take its toll. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. It's like, so people like yourself, generations, I'm telling you, I mean, it's out of sight to have, because I mean, like I said before, we did something when I was at another company, right? And I worked there for 12 years, but it's like 4 or 5 of us did something that you don't hardly see in that realm. In the social work realm is to stay together and work, because the turnover rate's like a year. We stayed there together for like 7 years. It was like 5 of us. You just don't find that.
Right.
But now on the other side of that, it does take its toll a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It was one of my first jobs. So, and I like moving. I don't like sitting around. So I could do it. I mean, I've only had one job where I just sat down. But that's the thing, moving all the time. But then again, like I said before, taking a lot of it home, then took its toll on me. I'll just tell you that. I mean, it did. But now I'm glad. And I, like talking to people, like yourself and just talking, I see that boundary is what they're setting. And now that's why I think they can compartmentalize what they're hearing, and what they're, definitely doing therapy and counseling on, and then also not taking it home as well, and being spending time with your kids as well, which is a good thing. Be it the fact we're talking about it, let's talk about generations, behavioral health. Let's talk about it. Helping communities heal. Talk a little bit about the mission.
So, I couldn't even sit here and tell you exactly what the mission is, because we try to do a little bit of everything.
Right.
When I think of generations, I think of the power strips that you get. You plug in, when you try to set up your entertainment center, you plug in that power strip so you can plug everything else into it. And that's kind of what I think of generations, is we are kind of the power strip, because we've got the substance use clinics to help with your substance use. We've got the mental health counseling for adults. We have a children's clinic that offers play therapy and therapy for the adolescents and children. We've got ASO services. So we're going into people's homes that are affected by CPS, trying to teach you how to parent, how to do life skills. We've got the peer recovery coaches that are coming in and trying to help you figure out how to live life. We are a licensed behavioral health center. So we're not just in our offices. Right. We're going into communities. We're into several sober living homes. We've got some assisted living facilities that we go into and do services with them. And so really, I just feel like if there's a need, we try our best to meet that need, whatever that looks like. When you get into these big LBHCs, licensed behavioral health centers,
right.
A lot of times all they care about is money. The last place I worked, it became all about money, right. And that was beyond what I was about. Right. But I can't tell you how many times I have called Annie or Frida or Tracy and said, hey, I got somebody that needs services, man, but they can't get insurance. That's okay. We'll see them for free. Bring them in anyways. We'll take care of them for free. Bring them in anyways.
Tracy, I work with a lot. And like I said before, one of the things when I first met, Frida and Annie and yourself, it was out. It wasn't in an office. You know what I mean? I haven't even seen, we're scheduled to come see your office. I've never even been in your office, but I've seen you out everywhere.
Right.
And listen, people can take it, knock it, whatever, but that's where I'm going to be. And, that's the thing. And I see you out there, and I see the dynamic. I understand. I don't even know the structure, but I see y'all 4 most of the times, or 3. When you came to meet with me, it was 4, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or 3, I'm sorry. But still, that's the thing that I like. I mean, it's like getting out there doing it. And even, like you said before, even the people that, run it are out there as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I joke, and I've got them in a group chat as the big dogs because, you don't find these organizations,
No.
these big companies,
No.
to where the people who
No.
were boots on the ground and built it from the ground up
Right.
are the ones who are sitting down with you doing counseling,
Right.
are the ones who are coming and shaking your hand and introducing
That's
themselves.
it. No,
I mean,
really.
these are
Right.
probably three of the most humble people I've ever met.
Yeah.
I just met Tracy through working for Generations, and I tell people all the time, that's the nicest person I ever
Yeah.
met in my life. Like
Yeah.
I really thought it was a show at first because she's the nicest
Oh, yeah.
person I've
Oh, yeah,
ever
she
met in my
is.
life. If she ever said a mean thing to me, I probably would cry, and it takes a lot to make me sad, but I probably cry because like she's just so nice.
That's good. I mean, it is. And I know, but I do want to go back to, with Generations. I know you said for free, but who qualifies?
So
Tell me a
we're
little bit about
able
that.
to bill every single insurance. We can accept
Okay.
every single insurance. So obviously we do have a lot of population that is Medicare,
Okay.
Medicaid,
Right.
but we can take all insurances.
Good.
We have options for private pay if you just want to pay out of
Right.
pocket. But we are set and certified with every single insurance.
So you reach out to, so tell me a little bit about the play therapy.
Yeah, so play therapy is something that a lot of people are not really aware of.
Right.
They're not sure how it
Right.
works. I've seen a lot of people who advertise play therapy,
Mhm.
but there's a special certification you have to have for play therapy. And there's
Right.
only about 3 to maybe 5 in the state that I'm
Wow.
aware of
Wow.
that are certified.
Right.
The lady that we have, Lori Cook, actually, I just learned this. She's kind of like a jack of all trades and
Right.
probably master of them also. But she used to be the president, if I'm telling you this correctly, of certifying folks for
Wow.
play therapy. So she just did her term and is now not the president, but
Right.
like she's one of the only ones who are really licensed in this state.
Wow.
And so then she also takes those of us who are in grad school or those of us who are counselors there who have a desire and lets us come under her and learn and work toward obtaining our certification.
So have you?
So that's on my agenda for my internship hours. I'm in my last stretch. And so for the fall, I have an internship that I have to do.
Mhm.
So I will be spending a lot of time with her. I love my kids. I love coaching kids. I don't know that I love hearing about kids' trauma. Because then I want to hurt somebody, and I don't want to have to hurt.
Yeah, you're right.
folks.
I mean,
so
I think one of the things when we talk about healing, talking about parents, I keep ringing in my mind. You saying that is getting them to heal as well.
Sure.
Getting them healed as well. So the question I would ask you is, what would you tell someone who's nervous about making their first appointment, even if because I'm an adult?
I tell all of my clients.
Okay.
You need to heal because your children deserve a healed parent. You need to heal because you deserve to live a healed life. There is literally nothing that anybody can say about you that's going to hurt you more than what you've said about yourself. We are all our biggest critics.
Sure.
There is nothing in this world that anybody can say about Courtney Settle that I haven't already said. There is no words that you could say that are going to be more mean to me than what I have been to me. So, the way I look at it is if I come and tell you about the deepest, darkest parts of my life, then what? It doesn't change the fact that they happened. It doesn't change the fact that I lived through it. It's just out there. And once it's out there, then what? It's just out there. If you run that and tell that says a whole lot more about you than it does me.
Yeah, that's true.
But we have this fear of like, what if people find out? What if they do? It doesn't change the fact that it happened. It doesn't change the fact that you survived it. It doesn't change anything. It just happened.
The byproduct is your kids are suffering. They are
Absolutely.
finding out something.
Yeah.
They may not know exactly what's going on with you, but look at what's going on with your children.
Absolutely. And, I struggle with some hyper independence myself, and I had to go through some time of healing myself because my brother's addiction started when I was 16. And, like I said, I have the best parents in the world, and I don't fault them at all. They were doing what they thought was best, which was trying to shelter me, trying to keep me from it. But I'm 16 years old.
Yeah.
I see the stuff. I hear the stuff. I know stuff, but I can't talk to y'all about it because I don't want to hurt y'all. Y'all are already hurt. I don't want to add to that. And y'all don't want to talk to me about it because y'all trying to protect me. So I just kind of had to learn how to maneuver through it myself. And I didn't do well with it. It's a struggle.
So, as parents, your parent, sometimes we do take on that blame though. If we do something wrong. I mean, I always worry about being a better parent. I mean, I do. I mean, but because you always need to get better.
Absolutely.
But then when these things come, they kind of out of your hands sometimes too. And other than the fact of some of the, more invasive things is to, I hate to say this, sometimes not send them away like that. I'm just saying to get help. If I keep talking to you, Courtney, and you're not listening to me, you're my child, maybe I'm not the one to tell you then.
Right.
And I know that's the tough thing. And I'm not telling anybody to send their kid off. I'm not, I know you'd be the pieces after sending your kids off.
Right.
But what would you do if they're not listening?
That's when you got to start letting people get involved. And
Right.
and that's where you got to stop being so prideful. Pride,
Right.
the Bible says pride comes before the fall.
That's right.
You can't be so prideful that you can't reach out for help. And I see a lot of times people want to chalk everything up as it's just typical teenager behavior. It's typical teenager behavior. But it doesn't have to be.
Right.
If
Right.
you're seeing the signs of your
Right.
child being very dishonest, your child being very manipulative, your child not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're not taking their responsibilities serious, get them some help now so that they don't have to sit in a chair with me at 50 and look back at all the mess they've made.
While you say that, then recognize when does someone need help? You know what I mean? I know we said a little bit about it now, but personally, if you see this, right, when do we get the help? Is it isolation? Is it,
I think
changes?
each person is different. And so, for any kind of help, when it starts to impact your life,
Yeah.
when it starts,
Yeah.
I'm an open book. I just talk about my life. I've had ADHD my whole entire life. And on Monday, I went to the doctor and said I need help because all of my life I've managed it, but it's starting to impact my life now.
Right.
Grad school is taking its toll on me. I can't focus to write 25-page papers because I can't shut my brain down. I can't hardly sleep at night because I can't shut my brain down. I'm snapping at my kids and snapping at my mom because there's 40 things going on in my head and she's chewing loud and they won't stop saying my name and my sock feels weird on my foot. So now I'm
Right.
snapping because I'm overwhelmed.
So it's like,
So I got to the point where I said, it's impacting my life. It's changing. I'm not my best right now. So I need to get to my best. So when I see, I mentioned my nephew, there's some things that are taking place that we're seeing like, hey, this isn't typical behavior. This is not your baseline. This is not what we've seen. This is not what we want for you.
so that's what we're talking about, like anger, so not above the norm. I'm not saying trying to gauge people being not normal or abnormal, but not normal, right? Not age appropriate.
And
so to
here's
say,
the
right?
thing,
Is that
too.
right? Is that the
Yes.
right thing to say?
But-
Not age appropriate.
But here's the thing that I would say too, Don, is I have never met anybody who went to therapy and came out worse.
Right.
So if you put your kid in therapy
Right.
and maybe you're just being a little early on it, you're a little preventative. Maybe they didn't necessarily have anything major going on. Nobody comes out worse. They're not going to come out of therapy worse. Worst case scenario, they're going to learn some coping skills. They're going to talk about some things that have happened. They're not going to come out worse. You're not going to damage your kid. It's kind of like a well child. Your kid doesn't go to a well child appointment and come out sick. You're not going to put your kid in therapy and they come out worse. We're not going to hook them to machines and probe them and everything. We're just going to let them talk about life.
I just like it because of that. That's what I like it because someone that doesn't have a opinion as far as that goes, because they don't know you,
Right.
basically, so they can come to you and you can open up to them. It can stay there and you can kind of speak freely.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need a safe space to say, you know what, that chicken my mom cooks is absolutely terrible, and I hate when she cooks it. Sometimes you just need a safe space to say, my man is getting on my last nerve. He don't want to take the trash out. When I ask him to take the trash out, I'm sick of asking him to take the trash out. Sometimes you just need a safe space and a soundboard to let that stuff out, and it don't cause issues at home. If my brother had been put in therapy as a teenager, his life might have been different. And that's not to fault my parents. That's not, that was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It was way taboo to do therapy at that point.
I'm telling you.
But I see these young men, and I pick on the young guys especially because we lack men in our community. Men are not stepping up and being fathers. They're not stepping up and being leaders. Men are not being what men once were being. And I think it starts because we see these young men who are just angry all the time. They're punching walls, they're breaking things, they're just angry. And we chalk it up as they're just typical boys. They're just boys. No, they're angry because something has hurt them. And we teach boys from a young age, toughen up. Don't you do that crying. You better be tough. You gotta be strong. So they learn that anger is the safe emotion for me to show.
Mm-hmm.
My dad ain't never been involved. My mom's out here running around and I'm doing everything on my own. Nobody's here for me. But I can't cry about it because I got to be tough. So I'm going to be angry about it. I'm going to scream and holler and hit things. I got to be angry about it.
Right.
If we would get these kids help in those young years. They might not end up in the streets. They might not end up having broken homes. They might not end up having all these children that they're not active in their lives either. They're repeating cycles because they're not getting the help to break that cycle.
Well, and that's why I said when you came to the campus, spoke about, do the high five, that means something. I mean, because as you look at it and you see it, I mean, you can do that.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of adults can do it. It wasn't only, kids in the room at that time. I mean, a lot of, teenagers, I mean, like I said, even adults can do that as well. It's just the fact that, like I said before, when I'm an adult sometimes, and let me ask you that real quick before we move on. An adult changing, like I said, I'm 54 years old. How you going to change me? And I know you're not, but some of the tools you give me can.
Right.
But how am I going to get to use them if I'm not? I mean, I'm older than you. How you?
So that's the cool thing that a lot of us don't realize is our brain is constantly changing. It's constantly doing stuff. That's why sleep is so important, because our brain is regrouping. So it is possible to rewire the brain. It's hard.
Right.
It takes work. That phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can.
Right.
It takes time. It takes work. It's uncomfortable. But isn't everything? I'm going to the gym when I leave here. I'm going to be sore tomorrow because it's uncomfortable. But that's the only way I'm going to get better.
Yes.
Coming to therapy as an adult and re-changing your coping skills, re-changing how you communicate, re-changing how you handle things, how you approach people. It might be uncomfortable, but it's doable. That's how you get better. I haven't always been very eloquent in the way that I speak. I tend to, I blame it on the ADHD, but I tend to just speak whatever comes out of my mouth. But if it comes in here, it's usually going to come out. I've had to learn to change things. I told you at the beginning of this, I wanted so bad to pop a piece of gum in my mouth.
Right.
But the last show I did, I was chomping that gum so bad.
Right.
That
Well, I
as
move all the
uncomfortable
time. See, I move all the time.
as uncomfortable as it
didn't
is, I
notice
had
that.
to make that change in myself to proactively say, no, leave the gum in the car. Don't get on there chomping this time.
See, in my mind, I'm trying not to move as much as I usually do, really. And I'm doing a better job than I usually do. But you're right. I mean, just recognizing those things that we can change on is one thing. And I think, sometimes, one question real quick. How can someone support a loved one without pushing them away, though?
I feel like this is literally what when I was talking yesterday about stripping the titles, this is what you have to be able to accept people where they are.
Right.
We meet people and we meet them with our own expectations. I expect you to be this and to do these things. And we meet people with our own expectations. And I struggled for a long time with my brother. I am so passionate about what I do now, because I feel like I failed my brother so bad. There were so many times that I was so hurt and angry that I would say, I'm done. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't come to my house. I'm done. And I would go long periods of time without talking to him. And I didn't offer him that unconditional love, that unconditional positive regard, because he was not meeting my standards. Yeah. He was not living what I wanted him to live. And it wasn't until I made myself stop and realize I have to accept him as Kevin. Yeah. I have to accept him right where he is, as he is, and love him for who he is in this moment. Right. Because you know what? If I can't take you in your brokenness, I don't deserve you on the other side. If I can't accept you in your busted up, broken down, where you are right now, then why should I get to have the best version of you? Yeah, and so we have to learn how to strip those expectations away, how to just meet somebody where they are. Right.
When you say that, I always go back, like I told you, I mean, I wish it's several relatives. I wish I could just take, even though I was a kid then, and I'm not saying that, but, and I don't even know if they listen to me anyway then, but still, just a matter of, of trying to take the effort, right, to kind of talk to them and just tell them, like you said, not really push them away, but do we really need to do this? But, at the time, I'm trying to not be like them, of course, but I am trying to be independent, you know, and do what I want to do, basically. And it's not, of course, when you learn, that's not really the way to go. When we say that, I want to bring this in, and we talked about this, faith, hope, and mental health. Tell me, if I have faith, why am I still struggling? That's what many people say.
It is. And I think that's one of the reasons there's so much stigma here in this Bible Belt, is because so many times we just want to say, oh, just pray away. You can pray away the gay, you can pray away the depression, you can pray away the addiction. I am 100% an advocate that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we could ever think. Yes. However, that man also chose to teach people how to make medications. He also gave us the giftings to do what we do.
Exactly.
I had a mentor
Right.
speak to me in my freshman year of college, and she said, let me tell you something. All you need to do is to get the credentials to prove that you can do what you do, because the gifting is already there. And when I think back, when I was in 8th grade, my friend's mom would call me all the time to talk about her life, her problems. And my mom would come in there like, who are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to my friend's mom. Like, and I would be talking to her. I can't even spell marriage in 8th grade. And I'm talking to you about how to help through your marriage. Like, but it just flew. It just flowed. It just came. Like, it was just who I was. And it's just who I've been in my life. All of the people in my life will tell you, they might not always want my advice, but they know I got some for them if they come. They know I'm gonna listen. And so, I am huge on my relationship with God. God is the center of my life, and I try really, really hard to be what He wants me to be. But I also feel that I am walking in my calling and in my purpose in being a counselor. Wow. If God's purpose for me is to be a counselor, that must mean there's some people that He feels needs counseling.
I mean, I like what you said, a couple things there, but one of the things was, about God being a creator, but also creating us to help as well. I mean, the tools to help as well, because what happens is, you're right. We can't always say that we can fix ourselves, but we can also go to the people, credentialed people, right, that have went through, proper schooling in order to help us. And that's the support. I mean, I used to work with mental health as far as with children, and one of the last things was medication. And, parents was dead against it. The writing was wall. I've never told any parent your kid needs medication, and I wouldn't do it now.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, can you go see someone in Generations, or go see someone and let them talk to you about it, right? Because, I mean, there's no miracle drug, but there are things that can help you through the process. That's what you're getting ready to do. That's what you mean. I don't know if it's even medication, it could be counseling, whatever, it's your ADHD, but it's really to sort out certain things. It's not going to change Courtney. This is going to help you process things a lot differently.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm pretty good now, but I feel like I'm going to be better when I have the proper medication to help line all this in my brain up, to where when you are talking to me, I can focus on what you're telling me and not thinking about what I'm going to say back or how I'm going to do this, or, I don't want to live in survival mode because everything's always going. I talk to my clients often about medication, and I always tell them, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what medication will work for you, but I think it's a good idea to consider it, to hear them out, to talk to them about your concerns. My daughter is adopted, and she was substance exposed at birth. And one of the first things my mom asked me when she was little was like, what happens if she needs medication someday? I said, we're going to get medication. Yeah. If she needs medication, we're going to get medication. Like, if that's what my child needs, that's what we're going to do. It just is what it is. Nobody wants to, oh yeah, we're on all these things. But at the same time, if you need it, you need it.
No, you're right. I mean, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I go always back to, and this is like the biblical examples as well, that we could go through, but it is things out there, right? I mean, that can help. I mean, like I said before, there's nothing wrong with leaning, as you should lean on God, but you also should listen as well, and listen to me if you need some help. Not something so that's beyond God, but with the help and the tools that He's given us, why not try them?
Yeah, and it's wild to me because it seems like it's just about the mental health stuff. Like, you want me to pray my depression away while you take your blood pressure medicine. You want me to pray away my anxiety, but you're gonna take your diabetic medication. So what's the difference? Why can you take your physical medication, but I can't take my mental health meds? So the question is, I mean, I'm just putting you on the spot, but I'm just saying, how can pastors and counselors work together? So the pastors that I associate, all are on board. They realize, and that's good. But that's not everybody. And but still, it's some. Yeah, it's some out there that still want to sit down and talk about it. And I feel like when it comes to stuff like this, and in everything, there's a reason that there's a verse in the Bible that says to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. There's a reason God chose to put that in there, because what's right for your life might not be what's right for my life. Because at the end of the day, the calling on your life and the calling on my life are not the same. Right. There are a lot of people who are Christian who they drink. For me, I choose not to. it isn't even necessarily because of my relationship with God.
Right.
It's because of my line of work. I feel like it's hypocritical for me to talk to you about how bad it is, but I do it.
Right.
So for me, I just don't. There are different things different strokes for different folks. What works for you and God might not work for me and God. But that's why it's my relationship. I got a different relationship with my mom than what my brother has with my mom. I got a different relationship with my boss than what my coworker might have.
Right.
So
when did you learn that about? I mean, not getting personal about your mom. When did you learn that? Because that was one. If any question I'd want to ask you is that, because having a sibling, relative, friend that that struggles with substance abuse, sometimes the focus a lot is on them.
Oh, it was.
You were younger than that.
It was, absolutely.
And so but I'd like the way you compartmentalize that to say, listen, my relationship with mom, but one would say, hey, what about me? Shoot, I'm here too.
Yeah, and it was focused on my brother a lot. And to be honest, I had a lot of resentment toward my parents.
Okay.
And we're good now, and they know it. And my mom might be tuned in. I don't know. But I did have a lot of resentment toward my mom.
Wow.
And I took a counseling class that talked about the sick child syndrome, and how when a parent has more than one child and they see that this child is doing well and this child is not, they unintentionally send all their attention to that child because they want that child to be as good as the other. And so I had to first of all self-reflect and realize I'm setting these expectations for what my mom should be. I'm the one who decided that my mom should give me this much attention and this much of this, and she should be. I chose what expectations. She didn't get a chance to say what she was going to do or what she was going to. And now, as a mother, there ain't anything I wouldn't do for my children. And if I have two girls and I have a boy, and if I seen that one was struggling more, I have a newborn and a 6-year-old right now. Tell me which one gets more attention. It's not because I love my 6-year-old less. It's because right now my newborn needs more attention.
We explain it.
My mom didn't love me less.
No.
I was doing well, and my brother was tore up from the floor up.
And you saying that kind of makes me think, like I said, all my stuff is, trust me, all families. I'm not saying I love my family. I'm not saying they were the worst family in the world. I'm not. But I was around them all the time when I was little. So some of these things I learned now, shoot, that was, and I don't place it on them, but I just say, well, okay, that's what was going on. Because someone that struggled got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I'm talking about beyond a kid.
Right.
Even over a kid, I'm like, how does that work? When you see, it's in there. But I get it. I'm starting to get it now more than I would anything else. Because I always say this. I don't know. There's pamphlets, there's booklets about being a parent. Those are books. I'm not saying
not just winging it, trying to figure it out.
And I'm not saying that they're not credible, but it's different when they're black and white. It's a little different when you.
It absolutely is. In this day and age, I'm raising kids in this gentle parenting scheme. I'm sorry now, I can't gentle parent Thuggerella. My 6-year-old is a straight up Thuggerella.
Yeah.
I'm not raising no little princess.
Right.
I can't gentle parent her.
Right.
And it don't make me less of a parent because I don't gentle parent her.
Right.
I'm doing what I feel is best for my child. You do what you feel is best for your child. But you were talking about, you started realizing as you were growing, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important to get, especially that teenage group, get them into counseling, because that is when you start to kind of realize, hold on, wait a second. You mean all these things that was going on in my childhood is not normal? Oh, you mean those people wasn't supposed to be doing that stuff? So that's what I'm seeing. If we can get them help at that point, they don't end up being 25 years old with all these resentments.
No,
They don't end up 30 years old trying to manage relationships.
It's a lot of people like you.
It took me to, I was probably almost 30 to really figure out who I am. Which is weird because I'm only about 25, but it took me to that point. For a long time, if you look at my dating choices, for a long time, I struggled with picking people that I could fix.
Right.
I wanted to fix build a bear. I was going to build my man. And so it took me a while to realize that's for my work. My work life is where I'm supposed to do that. I can't pour into somebody at home. I got to fix that. Being able to learn those things, identify those things in yourself, getting that help, finding those wounds that we've buried so deep. Like I told those children, every one of us have a garden inside of us. And throughout life, things get tossed in that garden.
Right.
And it's not always good things. And if we don't ever go back and rip the roots of all those weeds, we stop those flowers from being able to grow. If we don't go back and dig them rocks out of that garden, we stop our flowers from being able to grow. When people are hesitant about going to counseling or getting help, all you're doing is stopping yourself from growing.
Right.
you're just staying stuck.
Real quick, we don't have long. Healing our youth. You had just talked about it a little bit about plucking those weeds. Tell me a little bit about how do parents become safe people?
That's a tough one because as parents, I think we naturally want to respond when our kids do things that we don't agree with, or I'm trying hard already to work on my poker face because I know that 6-year-old is going to give me a run for my money, and I don't want her to ever feel like she can't talk to me.
Right.
So I'm already trying real hard to fix my poker face to where when she does come home and tell me things I don't want to hear, that I don't react right away. But I think that's the biggest thing is opening lines of communication for your children. They see what's going on. They know that things are taking place. Just because your kids might be in a room while y'all's all turning up, or they might be in a room while you're getting beat, they still know what's going on.
So,
you gotta open lines of communication. You gotta allow your children to feel like they can talk to you. You can't be a safe space until you allow them to know that you are a safe space.
See, and that's the thing. I think you're right. That's the big key is knowing, and talking to them, communicate with them, going in the room.
Yeah.
Right. Going in the room, talking to them, not just letting them play on the game all the time. Go in the room.
Yeah,
play it with them.
You can't be an active parent.
Play it with them.
And just being in the same space does not make you an active parent.
No.
If I'm in the space and I'm on my phone and you're in the space and you're on your we ain't engaging.
Right.
We don't have no kind of relationship. We're not building anything.
Right.
I'm raising 2 girls, and both the baby obviously we ain't talked, but my 6-year-old knows there is not a single thing that you ever keep from me. Nobody ever can keep you. You don't ever keep secrets from mommy, and you will never be in trouble for what you tell me.
It was one of the things I learned first from counseling about when you said the baby don't speak to you, right? But sometimes the baby does and doesn't even talk.
Right.
And that's where we learn it. That's where we learn about feeding, about manipulating. Blew me away. You know what I mean? A baby crying because they want
Oh,
to eat.
yeah. I put that baby down,
But
and
crying too much. But
she's got a face like I done dropped her off on the side
crying
of the street.
Crying so much. It's sort of innate in us.
Yeah.
To be that way. Not in the fact, but could turn out to be like that. But I think you're right. One of the things I would say to a parent right now, when we won't get into this one, but you got the best weapon in the world, and that's the internet.
Yeah.
And the phone. You take them things away, and hey, listen, CPS can't call you, and not like you. Hey, it is what it is. Because that they took our freedom away. Different, as far as going outside and stuff like that. But I think being a parent is one thing, but you have to have that. And I'm learning better to be a listener too, not only just a disciplinarian, to be a listener as well. And I think that's a good thing as well. This has been good. We covered a lot of things. And I told you sometimes we'll come on and we just flow. Like that, even though you can see kind of what's coming up. Tell me real quick, what if hope started today? Tell me just a couple sentences I want you to finish. Healing is
freedom.
Hope means
that tomorrow can be better.
Strength is
going on when you don't want to.
2 more. Everyone deserves
to heal.
And the future is?
Future's bright.
That's true.
I told a young man yesterday, your story doesn't have to end this way as long as you don't put the pencil down.
100%. Listen, I'm so glad you're on there. I want you to say a little final word. I know, like I said, generations, right? That's where we can find you at, right?
Absolutely.
Well, find you outside too all the time.
Oh, yeah. I'm courting with a Q. You can't miss me on social media.
See, that's good.
I'm easy to find. You catch me at the basketball gym for FCA games on Saturdays. You can catch me, anywhere really. I'm around. I'm easy to find. But I just feel like if you really are tired of living life like you are,
right.
If you really want different for you, you want different for your kids, you want different for your family, why not try something different? Right. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
100%.
And so I just feel like, I tell everybody, counseling is not one size fits all. If you've listened to me talk today and you're like, I would be open to counseling, but I don't want to talk to that crazy lady. That's okay. We got other people that are qualified.
No.
If you want to give it a chance, give it a chance. Look for other options. But I would just say, life doesn't have to stay the way it is. In today's world, it's hard. It's tough. You don't have to face life alone.
No.
There is not a single thing that you can walk in my office and tell me that you have done that will make me shut that door on you.
Right.
It is what it is.
I think that's great. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, it's like, you being here listening, like I said, when I heard you with the kids over there, it's like, that's where it's at. I mean, like you said before, but the approach, that approach could resonate with kids, teenagers and adults as well. I mean, like I said, for what I've seen, very good at his job,
Thank you.
and also very outgoing. So that's a good thing as well. I mean, to feel like you said, to let the people get a good rapport with someone. I think that's the thing. I mean, when you're in the people business, you got to be willing, right? I mean, like you said, for number one, to meet them where they at, but also to make sure, we can resonate. I mean, and help change some of the tools that you're going to give me, right? I'll talk to y'all here about this, but I, like I said, I think, generations for coming. I think you for coming, right? I think you all for definitely partnering with us. And the Sun Collective. I mean, like I said before, it's been a good time, but it's also been a great time as far as learning, and I've been learning a lot as well, and I can continue to learn as well. But it's one thing to talk about; it's another thing to action. That's how I am. I just like action. I mean, we can talk about it all we want to, but I just like action, and there's no knock on anyone. I mean, time is different. I get it, but sometimes I don't think you should have time for the community. That's what we're dealing with. I mean, that's what we're dealing with.
If you want people to trust you, you got to show people that you're there. You got to show people you're there for them. I tell everybody that sits in my office, I have the exact same goals as you: to see you be happy, to see you heal, to see you do well. So whether that's with me as your counselor or somebody else, my goals are still the exact same as yours.
And how would they find Generations?
So we actually have an office in Oak Hill.
Okay.
We have an office in Beckley at 2401 South Canal Street in the medical complex across from the Black Knight Country Club. And then we also have an office in Charleston.
Wow.
But you can also find us on Facebook. You can reach out to me directly. I can get you where you need to go. We can do just about everything.
Good.
And we want to help people, whatever that looks like. We want to help you.
Right.
And so I would say if you're kind of on the fence, you're kind of hesitant about it, give us a shot, give us a chance. I will say before we close tomorrow, at our Beckley office, 2401 South Canal Street, we actually have a licensed cosmetologist coming in to do free haircuts for our clients. So if you need a free haircut, come tour us and see what you think. Come check us out.
So you heard it from Courtney first. I mean, come in there and like I said before, see what Generations is all about. But I see now that's a lot of it, is giving back to the community.
Oh yeah, and next Tuesday, the 28th, I believe it is, next Tuesday, we've got a lady coming in. She'll be there at 11 to set up for anybody that needs the phones, the Medicaid phones.
Okay, good deal.
We've got her setting up to do that as well. So we really just want to help the community however we can.
Good. So go to the website, go to the Facebook page. Like I said, as far as the collective, we definitely have a cookout coming up on Hager Street Sunday. And we're going to be, it's 26th, July 26th, we'll be here from 2 to 4. We have a couple set up, and like I said, for this, look at, the Facebook page and see those. And I want to thank everybody for watching Collective Conversations.
Thank you.